This is Montrose Morris Corner here at DeKalb and Waverly Avenues in Clinton Hill. So this is like 284 to 290 DeKalb Avenue, roughly, and then the odd number side of the street is this side. And I believe this side is in 1889, and the other side of the street is 1 year later, 1890. But both groups of houses are just a tour de force. So here's on the southwest corner. Look at that colonnade on the top floor there, amongst other features. And then looking back here at the northwest corner, just fantastic. So this is three houses made to look like one. Sometimes you'll hear the expression that houses will look like the Lower Valley mansions from the Lower Valley in France. And we're looking east down DeKalb Avenue. These are some brownstones from the 1880s. And looking back at Montrose Morris, two gems, the pride of the Brooklyn School. Looking again across the street, let's look at close up at some of the details. Great arches. And then back at the south side of the street, more detail on the Waverly Avenue side. Here's what I'm looking for: 198 through 204 Jefferson Avenue. Here's 198 here, designed by Montrose Morris, built in 1891, just west of Nostrand Avenue. So there's three with the tan brick, and then maybe they painted the brick here on the last one. So it almost looks like it's not part of the other three, but it is. Montrose Morris, 198-204 Jefferson Avenue in Bed-Stuy, 1891. This is St. Mark's Place in Crown Heights, and this house with a dome is a Montrose Morris, 855, 857 St. Mark's. It's in the St. Mark's district, which I've never been to before. It's right across the street from this. This is the Brooklyn Children's Museum. Looks like it landed from outer space. So, and there's another Montrose Morris house down the street that we'll take a look at. All these buildings are significant here. Let's see, 867. So it's the one behind the scaffolding is also a Montrose Morris house. But I'm wondering if both of these houses are his, and maybe more on the street. This house there at the corner is quite interesting with the conical top. So let's just walk down the rest of the block. It's interesting on one side of the street. The south side of the street is like a playground and a school. Check the years. 1892. It's this vintage here on St. Mark's. Let me just walk down here. I want to make sure I'm getting the street. St. Mark's Avenue, not place. Here in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Some real stunners here. I wish I knew who some of the other architects were, but that goes for a lot of houses and buildings in Brooklyn. There's so many things to look at. Okay, we're at the other end of St. Mark's Avenue, way to the west. At Flatbush Avenue to take a look at two more Montrose Morris buildings. I've seen them before and I thought they looked like Montrose Morris, but I just found out that they actually were Montrose Morris. And they're across the street here. It's the Lenox and Montauk apartment buildings on the southwest corner. Flatbush is the main street of Brooklyn. Doesn't get more Brooklyn than Flatbush. So I don't have a year when they're built. I'm looking up to see. Sometimes they put a year on the building, but so here's the Montauk entrance. That looks like Montrose Morris at 80 and 82 St. Mark's Avenue at Flatbush. And then the Lenox is the other building at 7678 St. Mark's Avenue in Park Slope, just off Flatbush. This is the Henry Hulbert House, 1889, designed by Montrose Morris at Prospect Park West and 1st Street on the southwest corner. And I believe it might have been two houses, like one for one of Henry Hulbert's daughters and her husband. Let's just see if there's a separate entrance here on the 1st Street side. Can't tell. Maybe not. Maybe it's on the Prospect Park West side. Regardless, it looks like one giant, huge house. And then it has become a succession of schools. And I think it was also home to the Brooklyn Ethical Culture Society, which then moved down the street a little bit. And now, I can't really tell you what the usage is, whether it's a school or private apartments. And there's a plaque up there. Let me just go up and take a quick look. Here's the plaque about the Hobart Mansion. So it is a Montrose Morris. And this is a close-up look from in front of the front door. And it just doesn't give you any clues as to what it's being used for now. But it is Romanesque Revival. And there's Prospect Park across the street. Well, if I had walked down the street a little bit further, I would have seen this sign, Poly Prep Lower School. And there's a Poly Prep High School also in Brooklyn. This says 24 Prospect Park West. I have 22 Prospect Park West as being designed by Montrose Morris in 1899. So there is no 22, so possibly this is it. This is 25, so it's just a best guess that this is a Montrose Morris at 24 Prospect Park West. So these are two sets of Montrose Morris houses. This is 18 and 19 Prospect Park West in Park Slope, built in 1898, and then these two at 16 and 17 were built a year later, 1899. And it's in a classical revival style, right at the head of Carroll Street on Prospect Park West. This is from 1894 by Montrose Morris at 121 8th Avenue at Carroll Street in Park Slope. Italian Renaissance, right next to some beautiful Beaux-Arts houses on 8th Avenue, Park Slope. Built in 1910, 1911. These are Beaux-Arts apartments by Montrose Morris at 10 Montgomery Place, and then going down a ways on 8th Avenue at 133 8th Avenue. Montrose Morris, 1910 to 1911. Right down the street, at the end of the street of Montgomery Place, which is a whole block of architectural stunners, mostly by Charles Gilbert. This is Grant Square, which is at the nexus of Rogers Avenue, where Rogers Avenue starts, and Bedford Avenue. And we've looked at the Lincoln Club, which this was originally. Now it's a senior center. And there's some other buildings we've looked at down the street here by Montrose Morris. I want to focus on this building right here on the northwest corner of Dean and Bedford. It's the former Chatelaine Hotel, built in 1915, designed by Montrose Morris. It used to be a hotel, and one of the selling points to it back in the day was that it was close to a Long Island Railroad station at Nostrand Avenue and Atlantic, which is not too far away. So now it's an 80-unit apartment building, and I just looked it up on Street Easy, and there are no vacancies. So I'm sure it had a fine dining room and maybe some other amenities on the property, maybe a a swimming pool or a bowling alley, who knows. But it was one of the fine hotels of Brooklyn in the early 1900s. 1915, Montrose, Morris.